Hello, thank you for being here. In this video, we're going to talk about the power of influence and how it can benefit you and your relations with others. Most importantly, first, the relationship with the self, and then your relationship, you'll notice, with others will be what is considered magical right in front of your eyes. You'll see others behaving differently. And so may you benefit from some of the tips that we have to offer here. And I say the we is because there's the Muriel here, and then there's the larger part of me, which is the higher self. We're all sourced beings, and you too as well have that higher part of you. And when we tuned in and tapped into it, we can then have them, the aspects and facets of the larger part of us who moves through us and speaks on our behalf. So the power of influence is it's the non-action action. And so we all have a connection, like we said, we're source beings, and we have a connection with the spirit world, who's always here co-creating with us. And this is the dream manifested. Being a human is that we're in the live action animation. Anima is the Spanish words for being animated in movement in time and space in a physical realm. And so the power of influence is so important, and it's a really big topic. And I'll do the best I can to articulate what we have to say through my being for you. And again, these messages aren't to be able to sit here and change your world, because I can't. But you can pick up some of what's being said, and depending on where you're at in your own reception mode and where you're at within yourself, and you've obviously been drawn to this video for a reason, so that you can pick up some of the tips, and it can have a profound impact on yourself and how you relate to yourself and all of who you are. And then that then has a domino, a ricochet effect, which affects all relations, everyone that you encounter, your personal relations, and then relationships with others in general. So how do we do this? Instead of getting all up in the mind so much, what we're doing is, it's called a paradigm shift. And that's what we're having the influence of, is that we're changing the human in a sense. When the human is ready and they're done arguing for limitations and done feeling less than worthy for happiness, being content, being satisfied in the moment with their lives, and they're ready to receive, to step outside of that limitation of having to argue for your position, to have to stand your ground in the sense that you're trying to bring others along to agree with you or to get them to change, and then you'd feel better. And there are tips and tools that you can use to assist you to get you on the path of this. So the first thing we recommend is to have a daily practice of meditation, and to take time to quiet the mind. Because when you have no thought, then your emotions are able to settle down, because emotions charge, or the thoughts charge emotions, and emotions then create what comes to you. And that's the law of magnetism. There's a force here that governs everything. And some people believe that the law of attraction is based on romance and love. It does affect that for sure, but it affects everything, every happening, every endeavor that goes on. And it's not just here in this, on Earth, in this life. It's everywhere. It's in all of creation. And it's a force that governs everything. And it can either be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on your resistance and what you're trying to do solely on your own, just being the human and working with thoughts and then your emotions and trying to make things happen. So when we take a good 15, 30 minutes a day to quiet the mind, listen to a sound, even if it's some music, gentle music that you like to listen to, without any words, and just focus on the music, the tone, a tone, the sound of a fan, the sound of something that's steady. And what it does is that it disengages you from actively going at thoughts that don't serve you, again, that charge emotions that you just keep focusing on. Because that force, the law of attraction will give you whatever you're focusing on. And that's how it works. That's the law of magnetism. And so a daily practice of meditating, even if it's first thing in the morning, some people like to do it in the afternoon or evening, depending on your schedule, whatever works for you. It's good to do in first thing is because when we go to sleep at night, all resistance subsides. And then when we wake up in the morning time, whatever you were bringing into your sleep space, if you didn't clear your mind before you went to bed, then it's immediately activated. And so by doing the meditation or just staying put for 5, 10, 15 minutes and quieting your mind before you get out of bed, then that helps you to remain in that connection with the larger part of you, your higher self, who's working alongside of you. So we're not singular identitied. And this is the paradigm shift that's happening when the human is ready and not working alone with just the brain. That you have that mind-heart connection. And then when you tune in to that larger part of you, then you're able to receive the information from your higher mind, which is also known as the imagination. So it's that higher part of the mind coming through, giving you insightful information, and then you take action. It's called inspired action. And so a daily practice of quieting the mind, to do it most every day, you'll see results fairly soon, 2 weeks to a month. You'll start seeing your life change profoundly. When we teach meditation, it means that you're quieting your mind so you're not focusing on thoughts, because whatever you focus on, you will get. So you notice that when you try to go at a problem, if there's an issue going on in your life, or there's an issue with another person, and it could be anybody that's close to you, it could be any relations that you have, all your relations, your spouse, your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, your siblings, your children, co-workers, and you're not liking their behavior and you wish that it would change, then it would make you feel better. There's that false premise that we believe, we have many beliefs that we have taken on that we don't understand, that we've done. And it's amazing when you start meditating, you'll start seeing that you do hold on to a lot of beliefs that you run your daily life this way with these beliefs, is that if these people would change, then you'd feel better. But there's a false premise to that. Because you can't get anybody to change by telling them, you need to do this, you need to do that, whatever you feel like they need to do to change. Because what you're doing is that you're focusing on the problem. And when you focus on the problem, the law of attraction will give you that. And it'll continue to give you whatever you're focusing on. Focus is everything. So that force that governs all events, matters, everything that humanity does, and not just here, we have to say, not just here in this realm, but it's all of creation. But for the purposes of this, being in the human body, it's more intense here. In the physical, what is known as the contrast is more intense here. I mean, contrast is everywhere, all of creation, even when you leave the physical body. But it's more intense here because it seems more real. And so when you focus on the problem, even if someone's not well and you wish them to be well, if you focus on the problem, then you're going to have that activated. And that's also a power of influence. So the power of influence can be either positive or negative. But what we're doing is we're leaning towards the positive, because you'll see these profound impacts happen, and it'll affect you first. And then again, that will bounce off and you will influence those around you. So I know when I have clients and they come to me, I don't focus on their illness or the problems. What we do is we focus on what it is we can make better or calibrate to the solutions. And so when you're working with others, say it's someone that's in your life, say you're living with somebody and you wish their behavior would change. Instead of sitting down, we need to talk about this, you could have an influence on first getting yourself feeling good, feeling satisfied, feeling content. Getting off the subject is big. And then calibrating to what makes you feel good first. Because again, we're sure that you've gone at this, because again, if you're listening to this video, you've gone at this for a long time, where you've had conversations with them, you've got retaliation, you can feel it instantly from them. It's almost like they go the other way. If you're sitting there trying to talk it out and trying to get to the bottom of things, you can't, because it's a bottomless pit. It's endless. And so this is where the silence, getting quiet in the mind, getting a meditation, and then waiting for the larger part of you to give that information to you. So instead of, aim, ready, shoot type of movement, you're going towards stopping, observing, choosing, and then acting accordingly to the observation, instead of immediately going at your emotions, that their behavior's not making you feel good. I wish they would just change, I'd feel better. And it's charging emotions because you're looking at the problem. And again, that force that governs everything will continue to give you that. It is as simple as that. It really is that simple, and you don't need to complicate this at all, because it's not a thing to complicate, because again, you'll get that. And that's almost like the last thing anybody wants to hear when you just really would like a solution to things and get on with your life. But this is your life, and you're here to not to fix the problems of yourself or of others in the world. You're here for your happiness. You're here to be content and at peace and satisfied and create and expand through your creations. But you can't get there and be creative if you're blocking yourself emotionally by feeling into emotions that aren't serving you. Feeling bad, feeling down, feeling frustrated, feeling angry. Any of those lower emotions will block your creativity. So then days go by, and then you'll turn into weeks and months and years and decades, and you'll find yourself at the end of your life that you're not going to have a happy ending. You can't have, a happy ending to an unhappy journey. And so it is the journey along the way is to calibrate to the daily things. You will not get a degree for enlightenment. And if somebody tries to go and gives you something like that wherever you're going towards, if you have a teacher or if you're in a group or community and they try to give you a certificate for this thing called enlightenment, you want to kind of walk away, run away, because it is a moment-to-moment calibration within yourself, and you're never ever going to completely feel that 100% embodied, I'm fully there in joy. No, because we're here in duality. And so the duality itself, you would be dead. You'd be in the spirit world. Like the larger part of myself coming through me right now. They're in the spirit world coming through the Muriel who's here in the physical. And so the Muriel deals with the contrast and then calibrates to the positive when she notices that something's going off, awry, or something that's charging emotion that doesn't feel very good, because the larger part here doesn't feel that way. is always feeling that joy, that happy, that elation of expansion, of, remember when you're a child, you're so happy, you're like every day, you're just like, what is this? What is that? Your curiosity and of feeling good about what is going to happen next. Being curious. We were told in these times of expansion that to be a child, look out from the eyes of the child again. We all have an inner child. And to look out from your eyes that way and to see the world as a child sees it, because when we do, then there's not much resistance there. Children have resistance. But as we go along in life, we gain more and more resistance accordingly to what we've been exposed to. And it can have a build-up effect. And the more we build it up, and that build-up comes from the force that governs everything. Whatever we focus on will give us more and more and more and more and more of that. And that's why a lot of the relations that we feel that aren't happening is because we're trying to make it happen just with the human and through our thoughts and our emotions. But when we have a daily practice of meditation, quieting the mind, going at that non-thought, you can't stop your thoughts. But what you can do is you can ease the gentleness and then merge the minds, the higher mind with the lower mind. And you can receive information that's coming from the non-physical. And so you could take that inspired action that then you'll notice that you can have those conversations with others that you want to have without having resistance and trying to get them to understand you, or to understand that if they change this way, then everything would work out. Or if they do a certain action, then the relation of whatever is happening will get better. Because you can't force it. You can't take that forceful, what would you say? You can't make things happen that way. You can't assert yourself into somebody else's reality. But by working with the law of magnetism is that you can draw what you want to you by easing off of yourself and others. Let them off the hook. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself, loving the self. Loving yourself. You can't love others unless you love yourself first. And we all, as humans, have had some kind of circumstance with others, either a fallout with a family member or a loved one, a child, anyone, coworker, boss, because we chose to focus on not feeling well. And for some reason, us as humans have been settling for less than, and have been settling for lower emotions that are not serving us and not serving others. And we're not getting what we want. What we truly desire is to be loved, feel loved, have things work out, be satisfied, be content, be joyful, have fun, have expansion, be creative. Again, if you're focusing on the lower emotions so much, then it blocks the creativity. So this is really a big deal. You're freeing up the space within the self first, and then you're giving space to others. You don't hang out with someone when you're not feeling well, or when they're not feeling well. If you're noticing that, you give space. It seems counterintuitive, especially if this is how you've been living your life up to this point. We've been going at these ways of being for so long, is that we didn't know any other way of behaving. And this is the paradigm shift we were talking about at the very beginning, is that this is a big topic. This is a big, what is called the paradigm shift, is that instead of solely going at how you deal with yourself and how you see yourself, especially yourself in the world and then interactions with others, being alone, working with just who you see yourself as your body, your mind, and then you have to figure things out, is that you have the non-physical. The spirit world's got your back. Your higher self has your back all the time. And it's in cross-cultural. It's in many cultures. It's not just in Christianity, Catholicism, you know, ask and you shall receive. Well, of course. But how does that happen when you've been asking and praying and it hasn't been coming? That's because there's a force that governs things. Whatever you're focusing on will give. So if you're focusing on not having, then, and you're praying for that which hasn't come yet, then you will get that. So that force doesn't hear your words, it just knows what you mean by how you feel. We're vibrational beings. So when you're praying and you're saying, you know, I would like this in my life, or I would like to see that person well, or I would like more love for myself and others, or whatever it is, with that prayer, you have to be careful with your words and how you're feeling. Are you focusing on it not being here? Are you focusing on it not coming yet? That it's coming tomorrow? Are you focusing on the problem? Because if that's the case, then the force will give you that and continue to bring it into tomorrow, the next day, the next week, month, year, and you'll see that this, it's not saying that it won't happen. No, because there's others doing this too. You have to multiply that with how many other people and how many others are doing this too. It's the power of influence. That's why it's the power. It's powerful. And so what does that really mean? Having influence over others. I always like to use that phrase, you know, it's not the spoon that bends. It's not the spoon that bends. So it's like the art of bending spoons with the mind. Telepathy. How does that work? How can we have influence over the physical with how we feel? How do we do that? And this is where we talk about at the very beginning, is that quieting the mind, having a daily practice of that. I've heard some people say, I can't do that. It's difficult. But see, this is the work of the human. There's not much to do. You're asking all the time about what you like and what you don't like. Not all of you are going to take everything that's being said in this video, because there's a lot here. You could listen to it again and again, and we're not the only ones saying it. There's a paradigm shift. That means there's a whole big community, large numbers of people who are using social media and giving these messages. But how open are you and in receptive mode to hear what's being said? And that's why it's important, and we go back to meditation all the time, is that by quieting the mind, you're releasing the resistance. You're releasing your control over, because that's not your job. The human's job is to live life, and you're asking just by living each day and being presented with whatever circumstance that's coming to you. You like it, you don't like it. Okay, so you're asking all the time what you want. And the larger part of you is completely aware of what you want all the time. Your desires, the things you don't like, what you want for the world and for others. Most people are good people. In fact, everybody is. We're all sourced beings. It just depends on how receptive you are to your connection to what we consider to be the spirit world, which everything happened and manifested there first before we were experiencing this physical realm. That's why we say at the beginning of this video is that this is the dream manifested physically. And we did it first in the non-physical at a vibrational level. So when you ask for something, it's given. But you have to align yourself to that frequency. So it's like the stations on a radio. You know, if you're not going to tune into one station and expect to get another. So that's the paradigm shift. You're going to vibrationally tune to it. How do you do that? By how you feel. How do you do that? By quieting the mind. Because the thoughts create emotions. So if you have a daily practice of quieting the mind, it's only 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. And you'll find yourself you'll find yourself liking it, because it helps you feel relaxed. Even if it's like you go at it that it's nap time. You find yourself falling asleep during it. That's okay. It's best not to. But again, as you first go at it, you might find yourself falling asleep or getting so far into the 15, 20, 30 minutes that you feel like you just talked the whole time in your mind and you didn't get any peace at all. That's okay, because at first it's like that. You just keep going at it. And eventually, day by day, the force, the law of attraction will give you what you're doing. You trust and have faith that it works this way. These aren't just words, and we're not just saying this through Muriel, and Muriel understanding this herself because she's done the work and continues to. And it's not done, she's complete, and that's it. No. It's a moment-to-moment, day-to-day thing that you calibrate to. And it's okay to not feel good. So there's days that go by and you don't feel good at all. Let yourself and allow yourself to do that. It's the path of least resistance. It's not no resistance. And again, you'd be dead. You're here to expand creation. The human's job is to have fun and be happy and enjoy and create and expand. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. But the simplest thing is the hardest thing to do. Okay, so you believe it first, and then believe it first, and then. It's not the other way around. I'll see it when I believe it. I'll see it when I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. It is the other way around. That's the paradigm shift. You have to believe it first, then see it. So how do you talk to yourself in the morning time? How do you, when you first wake up in the morning, do you go at the thoughts that, oh no, this hasn't worked out, or I'm never going to have that? Whatever it is, you have a personal script that you've been saying within your mind on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment, throughout the day basis. And this is what we're doing here. If you're listening and taking notes, or not even like notes, but mental notes in your heart, if you're feeling into what's being said here, is that you know yourself. And it's a very simple thing to do. It's just a quiet to mind every day, and it will subside those thoughts that are giving you resistance. Okay, so it's not necessarily other people in your life. It all has to do with you and how you see yourself and how much you really care about how you feel. It's really how you care about how you feel. You're worthy enough. You love yourself enough. You're aligned with that larger part of you who is loving you so much. Then you're not arguing for that limitation to try to be right than to feel good. And then to blame others, it's their problem. If they would change, then you'd feel better. Now what happens is that when you start doing this and you go along and you're noticing the changes within yourself, is that it doesn't mean you're doomed or condemned to stay with someone that you really don't feel that you're compatible with, or their behavior hasn't changed and you just wish that their behavior would change. The law of attraction will naturally gravitate you away from. So it's literally trusting the larger part of you and then working with the force that's going to line up those components, and it's going to put you where you need to be. That's how it works. So there's really no assertion. There's no trying to make anything happen. This is the power of influence, is that you take care of yourself and how you feel. Your feelings matter. When you're not feeling well, the larger part of yourself does not agree. That's all. And so you stop. If you can't figure something out and you don't know what to do, you simply don't have the answers. You trust the higher powers to take over. And that's what that means. And again, this is cross-cultural. This is in many cultures around the world. They've been doing this for a very long time. This is the ancient wisdom the alchemists were working with, not just turning the silver into gold, but this is really changing and turning your thoughts, and which changes the emotions, applying that very important ingredient of love for the self and love for others. And by doing that, you'll get your desired result. And that is how manifestation works. That's the alchemical process of working with creation, all of creation, and not just singular as a human by yourself, trying to assert yourself in the world and make things happen. It seems like the world is coming at us and things are happening that's out of our control. That's an illusion. And so when you stop, observe, and then choose the course of action, and you take your time to do that, sometimes the action's the non-action, and it's okay to do that. You're not going to miss the boat. The ship's going to leave without you. You're not going to miss your opportunities. You can't get it done anyway. You're an eternal being. Not that you can't do it in this lifetime. No, you can do and have and be anything that you want to be. But you can't bring others along in a way through assertion. If they change, then you'll feel better. Then you're going to be waiting forever. So the best thing to do is to get yourself feeling good first. And then you'll notice that influence will influence those around you, the closest people to you, to the people who surround you in the second circle, and on, and etc., etc. You'll see the results when you stick with this. We're not going to mention it, difficulty. You may seem to be that way. Again, that's an illusion. But as you start to trust the process, you'll move through. The first day is always the difficult day, right? You'll say, oh, this is the toughest day is to do that. Move through the first couple weeks. But as you trust the process, then you'll see results. And you'll see the others' behavior start changing around you. So you own the vibration in the room. It's a good metaphor of saying it too. You're owning the vibration in the room. You don't allow others to calibrate yourself. It's challenging at first, and when using that word very loosely, just to get this across, it may seem to be that way because it's going to be new to you. That's the paradigm shift. And the more you flow with this, the more you realize, and you'll see the results. That's realization. And it's realization after realization. You realize you have had beliefs for so long you didn't even know that you had. It's amazing how much that we've taken on just by settling for less than feeling worthy of succeeding. Feeling less than, settling for in a relationship that's not serving, that's not feeling good. Feeling less than, that I have to make this work. Again, asserting yourself and noticing the backlash of others, or it just simply not working out for you. That which you've asked for is just not showing up. And why is that? Because you're calibrating to it not being here yet. And so, again, the force, the universe, doesn't hear your words. It knows how you feel. And you're feeling within yourself that it's not here yet. It really is as simple as that. Whatever you focus on, you'll get. Focus is everything. We're focusing through Muriel, and she's giving these messages, and it's strongly coming through because she's focusing with us. And together, we are having that unity. That's unity consciousness. And so the flow happens naturally. So when you try to make things happen, again, that's the assertion. You're trying to make it happen because you're seeing that it's not here yet. The relationship's not working out yet. Others' behavior hasn't changed yet. The money hasn't come in yet. Your life hasn't gotten going yet. And so you're focusing. It really is as simple as that. Whatever you're focusing on, the force will continue to do that. So what we do is we change our focus. And it takes practice, a day-to-day practice. A day-to-day practice, quieting yourself, setting time aside from the noise and the chaos happening around you. You'll find yourself just having to do this. You'll make time. You'll make sacred space. Because this is how it works. This is the paradigm shift. Say somebody's behavior, say it's a spouse or a partner, and you live with, and you wish that they would change. You wish so much for them. You believe in them. But were you really focusing on believing in them, or focusing on their problems, or their not well-being, or the things that are bothering you that they're doing? And so it's called being split. It's like a split energy that you're doing at. You're doing two things simultaneously. You're creating two different realities around you. So when you do that, then it's a vicious circle. And that influence that you're having is counteractive. And it's going against the flow. It's going upstream instead of downstream with the flow of the river. So again, it takes practice, but you'll notice results. You will. Muriel's seen it in her own life and seen the power of influence on both extremes, having that experience of downfall happening with siblings or partners or co-workers. You know, if they'd changed, I'd feel better. She'd have over 2,000 jobs, expecting that if she changed the job, then she'd expect different people and a better circumstance or better people, better boss, but it followed her around. We're just giving an example. And the same thing goes with partnerships. You know, divorces happen that way too. You know, if I just get away from this divorce, if I just get away from this person and divorce them, then a better partner will show up. And what you'll find is that you'll attract the same kind of type of people who have the same tendencies, because you never calibrated to that, which is what you truly want for yourself, and feeling worthy that you can have it, and feeling successful, and being happy, and leaning towards the positive. There's still something in the vibrational field that never got looked at and taken care of. And through daily meditation, it falls away. It falls away by easing off the resistance of thoughts that don't serve, that charge emotions that don't feel good. I mean, you've been settling for so long for feeling less than, you don't even know that you're feeling these emotions half the time. Some of you may have become numb because you've just been settling for feeling less than and focusing on thoughts that just have gained a momentum. And that's what the law of attraction, the force, will give you, that, you know, build up a momentum day after day, week after week, month after month, going at the same, I'm not okay, I'm not okay. Whatever those thoughts are, and there's a lot. It's big. That's why this topic, the power of influence, is a big topic. So it's important to take that time out to really do the recalibration. And it is a subtle thing that happens, but you'll find that you'll notice things start changing fairly quickly when you stick with it. Not trying to make somebody change because that would make you feel better. You can't. You can't. You can bypass it though. You can bypass that. And what we were talking about with just the very simple tools within this video is that you can calibrate to you feeling good first, taking care of yourself first, what makes you feel good, even if it may seem selfish to those around you. You know, because people aren't going to agree when you do this. They just may not understand, and you can't have others understand you. Just the same, and this goes both ways. It's a two-way situation there. So when the individual takes care of themselves, it is such a huge impact. It is such a huge influence on every single relation going forward, or everybody around you starts changing. Some people will fall away. You'll attract others who are then now deliberately creating their life, consciously realizing who they are at a deeper part of themselves, that there's not just a singular human running the show, that you have a higher mind, and when you tap into that, you get those thoughts and you get the actions to take. That's called inspired action, then to take an action when it's appropriate to take an action, when to talk, when to speak certain words, like Muriel's doing with this video. She just doesn't blatantly go out and put up videos on YouTube just to make a following or make things happen or try to have the world understand her or influence the world in a way where she's going to change it, because the world is fine. Everybody's exactly where they need to be. And that's another tool, is that when you look at others and your relationship with others, you know that when you see them not only in their wellness, but they are exactly where they need to be. They're experiencing everything they need to be for what they need to do for themselves and their expansion. And by you trying to get in the way, you're trying to literally act as their own higher self and God and try to make things happen. And that's breaking their free will. That's interrupting with divine will, which is they have their own inner being, just like Muriel, just like you. You can't get in the way of somebody else's experiences because they need that for their own expansion. That's why they have their behavior the way it is. But again, the law of attraction, it will never match you up with an opposite. So you may just find that partner and you going your own way, and that's okay. Or you may find yourself the partner coming towards you, and it will happen through, which is the force is then delivering. And this is working with the force of the law of attraction. You're working with and in partnership with the force that governs everything. It can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on how much resistance you have within yourself. What you're trying to make happen. The humans have been settling for less than, feeling worthy, that you can have a good life, that you can succeed, have plenty of resources available, money flows, partnerships flow, relationships flow. Those who do not agree with you, that's okay. You don't sitting there trying to agree or make things happen or have anybody understand each other. You're simply not really going to be around each other. The force will govern that. You trust it to govern that. It doesn't mean that you don't have any say in anything. You have free will, but you'll notice by how you feel if it's right for you. Does this feel good to be around this person? If it doesn't feel good to be around that person, then you go to your own space, and then you calibrate, you recalibrate, and then you'll find out how the force then delivers. You'll see if the force then says, hey, the space is freed up. And you'll start having conversations again. And again, maybe you had a fallout with a family member, you had a fallout with a spouse or a partner or a boss or a coworker or a child. You'll see that by going in and focusing towards the positive, seeing yourself in a wellness state, seeing the others in a wellness state, visualization does help. But not to lean on that to make things happen, to conjure things up. No. It's good to visualize for sure. It's an alchemical mix. But it's very simple. It's a simple act of loving the self first. Your feelings matter. If you're not feeling well, then you go away and you get quiet. Get distracted. Enjoy the day. Enjoy nature. Go out and dip your feet in some water. Go out into the forest, wherever you live. Perhaps you live next to a desert. Go out into the desert. Feel the sun on you. Feel the rays of the sunshine on you. Get off the subject. Because really, it is the simple, is that you're releasing resistance. The trying to make things happen. Trying to be the controller of the situation. Trying to get others to understand. Trying to change their behavior. Because if they did, then you'd feel better. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You get happy first, and then you'll see results on other people. And again, they'll either go their separate way, you'll go your separate ways, or you'll come together. And it's okay. It's okay to feel not so good. You'll have days like that. It's basically, that's the path of least resistance. It's easing off. It's letting yourself off the hook and letting others off the hook. And being gentle. And you're worthy. You're worthy of this feeling good. Feeling good. Feeling good. Staying positive. Thinking positive. thinking positive. It's okay to have thoughts that are not. No, because what it's doing is making you ask for better feelings. That's why there's an emotional scale. It's okay. It's not going to go anywhere. There's going to be, the world is running the way it's running. And we'll see amazing results of that one person, their power of influence, by them connecting with themselves and feeling good first, and then how it influences those around you. Again, it does that premise of, if the world would change, then I would feel better. It's not going to work that way. It's an endless, endless pit. You'll never get to the bottom of it. So say that you want to have that discussion with someone, to really talk about things that you would like, some clearing, some space clearing. You would like some changes in your household or the workplace or even the world at large, and you really want to have those discussions. But you'll find that the wording will change, just like this message that's being conveyed here. You'll find that the wording changes, and it's not necessarily the words that's being said, it's the vibration behind the scenes. And this is the paradigm shift, is that we're calibrating to the larger part of ourselves instead of being so much in the mind and trying to find the words or find solutions in the mind mentally to try to make things happen. Having discussions with someone to sit down and talk about things, and all of a sudden you'll find it's the meeting of the minds, and that's not you need to be done. It's the meeting of the hearts. It's the heart space. And you'll notice that those around you, their behavior will change towards you. They'll start having space freed up within themselves to then act accordingly. Not feeling so depressed, perhaps, not feeling so angry, not going at those lower emotions themselves. And then they'll be able to take those actions, those inspired actions, and move. They might not even realize that it's happening to them, but they'll find that they can now act accordingly and move accordingly, because you're not there trying to get them to change. They'll feel better around you. Or, like we said, you'll find yourself just simply going in a different direction, and you're allowing the law of attraction to set up the components and bring you those people that match you, because your vibration and frequencies have changed. So that's what we have for you for this video. So again, may that assist you in your endeavors with yourself and with others going forward. And many blessings on your day. Thank you for being here.